Fable 5's access window was just extended for a few more days, so I wanted to actually stress test it, instead of building just another basic landing page video. Here's the brief I gave it: 1 physio clinic, 1 running injury, and 3 products. A landing page, an interactive quiz, and a full social campaign. And everything has to look and feel like it came from the same business. One more constraint: it's all in the same conversation. Fable 5 will build the pages, call the Higgsfield MCP for all the images and videos that it needs, and it will do it in the same chat from start to finish. There will be no switching apps whatsoever. Let's see how it all holds together. Bayside Physio is a fictional physiotherapy clinic. It's a synthetic demo for this workspace. Every patient, every clinical scenario, and every figure is completely made up. No real PHI, no real practice. I use it because it's fully built out, and I can show you all the systems that are happening behind the scenes, from a realistic brand to realistic compliance to realistic content. This is so I can test whether the AI tools are respecting the existing system instead of overriding it. There's a whole separate document just for AI imagery, the exact prompt formula, the colors, the emotional register, and also a checklist for rejecting bad AI images. Every image or clip that I show you in this video is referencing this document directly. That's what's going to automate the consistency. This clinic already has a signature rule for runners. It's currently used for Achilles tendinopathy content. My brief today is to extend the same rule to plantar fasciitis, which doesn't have any content yet, and build 3 things around it: a landing page, a self-check quiz, and the content for a social campaign. And they'll all be sharing 1 brand system and 1 visual reference. And every single thing that Fable 5 writes today will need to pass this compliance checklist. Alrighty, so the first product that I'm going to build today is a scrolling educational landing page. And I'm not starting from nothing. I've already built one of these before. It was in one of the last videos. I'll be using that as a template just to help accelerate things further, and just to make sure that we're also leveraging all of the components, the brand style guide. Everything will be copied across from that landing page just to make things easier for me, but then also to make things more consistent. But obviously the content that we'll be using will be completely different and tied specifically to the campaign that we're building about the plantar fasciitis. As I explained in the last video, I have the Higgsfield MCP is already set up. So that was pretty easy to install. So that's all set up and ready for me to use. I've set up a new chat with Claude Code, and I also have Fable 5 set. And then I've also increased this effort to the max. So I'll have this set up on Ultra Code. So this is maximizing Fable 5 to the absolute limits. So we're going to see how far we can push this. So it goes without saying that when you use these more advanced models, you can expect to eat up a lot of the usage, but then that's also taken to the next level when you increase the effort as well. Alrighty, so the first prompt, this is to create that scrolling landing page that's interactive. We're going to be using assets created through Higgsfield. And what we'll likely do is create a scrolling animated video. We're going to include some storytelling, and this would be a page that a user would land on after seeing some sort of social media campaign or ad. So they've seen the ad, the value proposition, they've expressed some interest, and then they've landed on the page that we're about to build now. And the whole point of this is to educate the user about what plantar fasciitis is, and then provide a link to find more information that's personalized to them. And then we can do that through an interactive survey. So here's the prompt. You're working a Bayside Physio demo workspace. Before doing anything, read the Claude MD file. So I have a Claude MD file that's set up in the Bayside Physio folder that explains everything about what Bayside Physio is, a bit about the fictional workspace. I would go into a lot more detail around the physiotherapy clinic, who works there, where is it located, what they offer, their services, and some other interesting things as well, just to help provide the context. But also this is going to help Claude for when it's first landing on that folder to understand where to go to find certain things, because that folder is filled with lots of content. So it's probably going to need a little bit of help from the Claude MD file to understand where to go to find what it's looking for. Now I've also included links to some other files here as well. So we've got the brand style guide, we've got the AI image guideline folder that I explained before, and then we also have the AHPRA content guardrails. And now that it has all of that context, we're asking Claude to build a new scrolling educational landing page. This will just be an add-on to the site that we created last time. Now it's going to be a self-contained cinematic scroll HTML page. It'll be a frame sequence, and it'll be scrubbed on scroll. So as the user is scrolling down, the video will start to play. If the user stops scrolling, then the video will obviously stop. Now the topic of the video, plantar fasciitis prevention for runners. So aimed at patients training through spring marathon and half marathon season. We've got a bit about here around using the brand system, typography, colors, spacing, spelling, and some things that we want to prevent. And then we have the structure of the page. So going with the header, why it happens, what to change, when to come in. And then it'll also be a call to action as well. And then we're just being very strict around following those compliance rules, making sure that it's adhering to the AHPRA content guidelines. We can't be making any guarantees around outcomes, no superiority claims, no fear-based hooks. These are the safe words that we can use, so may help, can support, associated with, etc. And then we have a bit about how to create the content. So we're asking for a hero video. We're going to be using the Higgsfield MCP to create that video. And then it's just some information about specifically how to interact with Higgsfield. So some of the content generation rules that are specific to Bayside Physio, and then some other stuff as well. And as you can see, it kicked off the conversation here. I did this workflow a little bit earlier today. So when I was going through this live, Higgsfield was generating the images for me that I could click through and have a look and approve or deny. Alrighty, so here's one of the images that Higgsfield has generated. So you can see it's a man running along the beach. I live pretty close to Port Melbourne, so I could say that this definitely does look reminiscent of that area. So AI's got it spot on there. We got this image that was generated through Higgsfield, and then we approved it. And then Higgsfield took that reference image and then created a video from it. So then we've taken that video and then we've added that to the landing page, and then we've added a scrolling interaction. And then here's what it looks like. So you can see here, it's clearly calling out that it's for runner education in Port Melbourne, the title of the page. So very, very clear call to action. As I said before, this would likely be linked to from some sort of ad or maybe some sort of social media content. The user would click on that link and then they would land here. So you can see they're scrolling down, and as they're scrolling, the person in the back is running. And then it's got plantar fasciitis, loves a training block, weekly kilometer climb through winter, on the way back to sprint marathon and half marathon season. And the plantar fasciitis carries every step of it. A little forethought can now support a smoother build. So that's the first bit. And then as I scroll down again, the text disappears. Then it comes up with a rule we use is simple. It is the same pain monitoring rule we use for a sore Achilles tendon. And it applies just as well to the sole of the foot. Keep pain under 4 out of 10 during activity, back to baseline within 24 hours, and no build up week on week. 3 checks every run. Stay inside all 3 and you are generally in a reasonable place to keep training. So under 4 out of 10, back to baseline within 24 hours, no build up week on week. Alrighty, so it's leading with the tips up front, the most important things that you need to know, and now it's heading into why it happens. So 4 things that load the fascia the hardest. So a load that jumps rather than builds, footwear past its useful mileage, a foreshore, a slow cadence and a long stride. And then it's talking about some of the adjustments that we need to make to our training. So nudge up the cadence, give the fascia an on-ramp, and then rotate your footwear. And a really clear call to action that if it's not settling, we're just up the road. And then it's got a button where you can book an appointment or email. Cool. So this is the first product, pretty straightforward. Great value for clients by providing educational material, value up front for free, and then book an appointment. And this is a way that we can use social media to find the people who are struggling with this, provide them with valuable content to earn their trust, and then providing them with a really easy way to get in touch and book an appointment. This is an example of how we can take that one digital product, use that as a seed for the next product, and then we can continue building from there. You can launch these campaigns quite quickly. As you saw, this only took about maybe 5 minutes to spin up a new landing page. You can use the workflow that I went through last time, where you can actually push this live on the web quite quickly. And if you have new campaign ideas, you're about 5 to 10 minutes away from launching a new product or a new marketing campaign. Alrighty, so now for the second product. So this is something that's genuinely different. So the last landing page that I created was really just a copy of the first one with the content swapped out, but with the same branding look and feel, just so that people visiting the website know that this is from Bayside Physio. It represents their brand, it represents who they are, and it remains consistent all the way through. This is something that's net new. We'll still be taking a fairly similar approach by using the same brand style guides, the same AHPRA guidelines, except we'll be doing something that's a little bit more interactive and personalized. So this next one is about building an interactive survey. You can imagine we have some people who have seen the social media campaign, they've clicked on the link, they've gone to the landing page, and maybe they don't want to book an appointment straight away. Maybe they want to do a little bit of extra research to understand what is best for them. And this is where the interactive survey comes into play. So I'm asking Claude here to build a new page, and it will be a readiness check. So it'll be a standalone interactive self-assessment for Bayside Physio. So it'll be a way for them to answer a couple of questions, and then we'll be able to give them some personalized advice based on what they've provided us. But it's a bit of a tricky one here because we also want to make sure that we're staying within the AHPRA guidelines. So we don't want to be getting in trouble compliance-wise. So there'll be some things that we need to watch out for, but that's basically what the next product will be. So you can see I've provided all of the information about what we want from a brand perspective. So pulling in all of the brand style guide documents, typography, colors, all that sort of stuff. We've got the branching logic here. So asking 5 to 6 short questions covering weekly running volume, footwear, current plans, pain monitoring, any recent jump in weekly volume, warm-up habits before and after running, and then we'll be able to score the answers using a specific tier. And then based on the answers that they provide, they'll be given either a green, amber, or red status. And if their result is defined as either amber or red, then that's when we'll show the call to action button for them to book an appointment with us. It would mean that based on the answers, maybe their condition's a bit more severe. So we're encouraging them to reach out to us only if it falls into that category. And then some of the stuff that we included before about it being a self-contained HTML, CSS page, following the guidelines, no diagnosis language, and then it's going to match the same visual look and feel and language of the landing page that we just created, so the plantar fasciitis one. We wanted to make it look like the two are one product. So it should be one product experience and not two separate experiments. Alrighty, so as you can see, Claude has gone through, it's looked at the first page, it has looked at all of the documents, and it's reasoning through what it needs to do. And then you can see after a couple of minutes here, it's let us know that the readiness check is built, reviewed, verified. It's at this link here. You can see it's a pretty small file, and then talks about how it works. So it says it's 6 questions covering exactly my brief. So weekly volume, recent volume, jump, footwear age, current pain, etc. And then it goes through that decision logic that we spoke about before. And then Claude has done its checks just to make sure that everything is working okay. And then it's also tested out the logic as well, just to make sure that everything lines up. So this looks like it was done successfully. So let's take a look. Alrighty, so here's where we landed. So you can see same branding, but it does look genuinely net new to what we had before. It looks like a new, I guess, consistent kind of survey format that we can follow. So you can see here, it says, running readiness check. It's about your load, footwear warm-up, and how your body is traveling, checked against the same simple rules that we use with our own runners. So you can see it's got a button to start the check. So first question is, how many kilometers are you running in a typical week at the moment? So maybe we'll answer it that way. Compared with a month ago, how has your weekly distance changed? How long since your main running shoes were replaced? Are you noticing any pain when you run at the moment? Where does that pain sit against our check-in rule? So we've got the under 4 out of 10. So I'm just going to click on this to make things interesting. And then it's asking, what does your warm-up look like before most runs? Straight out the door at pace. Just going to click on this, straight out the door at pace. Alrighty, so you can see I was answering that in such a way where I was trying to get to this sort of result. So as you can see, it's flagged at red. So worth a chat with us before your next long run. So it says that a few of the answers sit outside the pattern, would like to see in a marathon build. This check cannot tell you what is going on, and it's not a diagnosis. A conversation with a physiotherapist might help to shape the next few weeks with more confidence. So, and then it's got the rules that we spoke about before. And then also it has a book button as well. So we have a survey set up to quickly qualify the client. And then if they fall into a particular category, we're following up with some advice, and then also a call to action to book an appointment. So qualifying the client, making sure that they're the type of person that we can help, and doing so in an automated and hands-free way. And then obviously linking this directly with our booking system so that we can schedule an appointment with this client as soon as possible. I think you can also see with these different survey tools, this type of interaction where it is very personalized and we're asking these sorts of questions to personalize the experience, these can be recut and redesigned in so many different ways. So now that we have this already set up, we can run a campaign like this to bring in new customers, to engage our existing customers, and to make sure that we're providing value on an automated basis. and connecting this with social media so that we get that reach and we get that awareness and distribution. But then we can also connect these directly with our other tools, whether that be our booking system, whether that be Clinico or any other allied health software. We can quite neatly integrate these different digital experiences in to create a more holistic experience for our clients, even when they're not in our physical practice. Alrighty, now just with the final piece of this. So I've spoken many times before about how we want to create social media content, how we want that to be at the top of the funnel activity. We're putting out content, we're making that content interactive and engaging and hopefully relevant so that once they see our content, they'll want to engage with it. And we want to make sure that that content is consistent with our other products, just to make sure that it's a consistent experience from one platform to the other. So we're imagining that on Facebook or whatever it happens to be, that we have some sort of video content that's engaging that we're putting out there that will link to these products. So I've asked Claude to reuse the exact hero reference image you generated earlier for the landing page. And it's basically saying, so do not generate a different image, just use the exact same one that we used previously, just so it's consistent and it looks like it's from the same shoot. And then we've asked it to keep the following marketing image that we used before. And then we're being a bit specific about what we want, the model that we want it to use. So we want it to be, which is CDANS 2.0, which is the more advanced video model. We're asking it for 1080p, which is a high quality, no audio, and then 16:9 is the ratio of the video. So it's going to be portrait, so appropriate for social media images, really set up and optimized for a mobile device. Cool. And then we have some other information about the different reels that we want to use. And then we're getting specific about exactly what we want it to generate as well. So that all looks good to me. You can see Claude working away. Once again, I did this video a little bit earlier, so you won't be able to see all of the Higgsfield widgets where they show you a preview of what it's generating, but I'll show you exactly what it did generate in a sec. Alrighty, cool. So here are the two videos that it generated for me. So this looks pretty similar to what we generated before. So you can see it's showing a person running along the beach. This looks like it's definitely in Port Melbourne or around that area. And then it's zooming in onto the person's ankle and calf. And you can see that it's really focusing in on that area, highlighting there might be some pain or some discomfort they might be experiencing. And normally this sort of video partnered with a really clear call to action and consistent messaging would likely drive some sort of interaction if someone is experiencing that themselves. Alrighty, so here's the other video here. So it looks like the same runner taking a bit of a break, having a stretch, stretching it out. Looks like they're feeling a bit of discomfort. So there you go. So two videos. So you can see that both videos look like they're not only filming the same person, but they're also filming exactly the same location, exactly the same time of the day, and also exactly the same camera and photo editing that may have happened afterwards. So you can see how powerful it is using these AI tools when you're prompting in a specific way. You can really get these consistent results. Alrighty, and Claude has written more detail around the messaging and captions with these pieces of content. There are 3 slides here. So we've got the cover, which is going to be a title called Training Through Marathon Season. So that's going to be our headline to grab attention. And then we'll show a close crop of the runner mid-stride. And then it'll be talking specifically about the midsoles wear out before the uppers do. And then side 3 is going to be the same video, but then with some more text. And then it's talking about a clear call to action. So our check-in rule for sore shoes, under 4 out of 10 during, back to baseline within 24 hours, not getting worse week on week. And then here's the caption that we would use for that social media post, which goes into a bit more detail around some of the information that we'll also have on the landing page. And then we've got the hashtags as well. Amazing. So there you go. So that is full end-to-end, how you go from identifying a potential opportunity. We started with the plantar fasciitis. We know that that's a big problem for our potential clients. We know that they're active, they're likely training for marathons, they're likely experiencing this issue, something that we can help with. We've created a piece of content that is unique to us and something that clearly communicates that problem and how we can potentially help them. We've hopefully crafted the message in a particular way that's going to entice them to engage. We've created a landing page that goes into a bit more detail. It's engaging, it's interactive, it's all consistent with the other content. And then we've also finally created a survey that they can click on to get more personalized advice. It's going to act as a filter that if based on the survey that we believe is someone who is likely in need of our help, then we are communicating that, also explaining why, and then providing a very clear call to action for them to book an appointment with us so that we can understand what's happening. So there you go. So that is a full end-to-end how to create the content for a campaign. Obviously from here, it's pretty straightforward. If you have your social media accounts, you would just need to publish the content in a particular way. I already showed you in a previous video how to push the landing pages live. You would just use the exact same approach. So it's pretty straightforward. But hey, if you found this video helpful, please drop a like and subscribe below. If you have any questions or anything else that you wanted to learn or anything else that you wanted me to go into a bit more detail on, please drop a comment below and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.